after this, he will return ask me the following question. He asked, interesting perspective for sure. You said they don't actually hack our devices, but if that's true, then how are they able to meet up with you on dating apps and know how to do that so systematically without hacking? Like, how could they control all of that unless they're hacking your device? Fair question. Thank you so much for asking this question. Look, tracking where the target is actually pretty easy. For example, if you have Grindr tells you approximately how many feet each user is from each other. There is the dating site or web app that is called Sniffies. This one has a literal map. There's an actual map with your bubble where your location is at, like literally. Additionally, they're not only limited by that, but when you have conversations with people, if you're a target, you know that you're gonna be hit up by gang stalkers, some of which are dressed up as friends. You see, gang stalkers want to stay in touch with you because that is the only way that they can actually influence you. And if they are not trying to influence you in person, they're trying to influence you online. And when you're text messaging someone, people are gonna casually ask you, where are you? What are you doing? If you're a target, you can be sure that they know where you work. They know where you live. They know who you typically hang out with. And the only way that gang stalkers know this is by observation. So gang stalking is pretty damn big. However, most of the people are not gang stalkers. However, they are enough where they have eyes everywhere. When I was getting targeted, I had roommates. And when I was in the shelter, I had roommates where they knew who I was. Like, as I walked in the door to the shelter, they exactly knew who I was. So these people literally snap pictures of you and share it amongst everyone. And I know this because I have seen those pictures. I saw pictures of me at a private event where there was only like 6 of us. It was actually an ORGY. And someone wanted me to take a picture. And I said, sure, why not? So we took a picture, and weeks later, maybe months later, I found that same picture on someone else's cell phone because this other person showed me my picture accidentally. So if you're targeted, everyone that is part of it knows exactly who you are. Hacking is far outreaching, and the whole concept of believing that gang stalkers can actually hack your phone or your electronics makes the gang stalking experience so much worse. Let me tell you why. I'm gonna tell you a couple of experiences. So the shelter had really bad signal, and I was on Hulu. I was just browsing, and all of a sudden, the downloading speed for my iPad was really bad. And the only movies that showed on my screen was murder in plain sight. Murder. All of them were like murder-esque type of movies. And when you're getting targeted, if you believe that gang stalkers actually have the power to hack your devices, I believe that was true at that point. So I saw my device and I saw murder in plain sight. Murder. And I felt like gang stalkers were actively hacking my iPad and that they were only allowing those movies to show. I was feeling that they were mocking me via my iPad, that they were murdering me in plain sight. And I knew that was the truth at that point. Like, I was convinced with all of my volition that was the truth because of all this false information about the actual power of gang stalkers that is imposed on you. Like, honestly, there was a point where I was not even comfortable with being on my phone. And the moment that you feel uncomfortable, like your phone can't get hacked, and that you feel uncomfortable because someone is hacking your electronic devices, you start feeling like they're everywhere. You cannot comfortably be on your iPad, and you feel like you cannot safely browse the web. You feel like you cannot watch anything on gang stalking on your phone, because if you're looking through gang stalking, you're gonna feel like, oh, they're gonna know that I'm looking at gang stalking content, and that drives you deeper into the narrative of technology. If you look at the videos of people that are getting gang stalked, a lot of them, especially the ones that are pushing technology, they say, oh no, gang stalkers are messing with my phone. And it's like, no, you mistyped something. So like you start attributing a mistype, you start attributing a weird video. So I remember I saw this video of a baby getting his mouth filled on Instagram with whipped cream from the can from a weird
angle, if you know what I mean. And it was so disturbing, and my signal went out and the video kept playing and playing and playing, and like my phone, my like Instagram got stuck there, and I had to like close the app. And this happened while I was driving, so I was in a state of panic because I felt that gang stalkers wanted to push this narrative of me being a PEDO onto me by replaying that video on my phone. And I believed at this point that gang stalkers could see what was in my mind. And I remember that video of that kid kept playing because I was like, what the hell? Like, I hate this. And I was having such a traumatic experience because I felt that video was so wrong. And I remember that this was the day that I went to court, and I was sitting in the parking lot, dude, of the courthouse. And I remember that I was sitting down just trying to like get this image out of my head. And then this woman was sitting on her truck looking at me like that, and she was just like, ha ha ha, like laughing. So like, it was crazy. It was crazy. And the thing is that at this point, I believe that gang stalkers could see my thoughts. They could hear what I was thinking. And I felt like this was a setup. I felt like this was a setup to actively fill my mind with filth. And the thing about having that experience, you are mainly driven crazy because you feel that everyone can see what you're imagining. You feel that everyone can hear your thoughts. You are convinced that everyone can see what you're looking at your phone. You feel like everyone has access to everything. So you feel like everyone is watching you all the time, 24/7. You literally feel like in prison. You feel like you're connected with everyone, and it's a nightmare. That's just how it feels. The truth is that the phone is gonna do weird things sometimes. Sometimes if someone puts comments on YouTube, the comments are not gonna go through. Sometimes electronics fail and you just reboot the thing. I remember that when this happened, when I believed that I was still being like hacked or whatever, I had just bought in a computer, and my computer all of a sudden didn't start up. So I'm not gonna lie to you, the thought of, God, gang stalkers have access to my computer and they somehow messed up my computer. But you have no idea how easy it becomes to believe those narratives. Because when you're thinking about gang stalking, you start looking for evidence, and most of your evidence, you base it off the stories of other people that have experienced similar things. In addition, there are a lot of people on YouTube pushing the gang stalking narrative about technology. Look, the truth is that there's a lot of people that talk about gang stalking that have never gone through it. They're just finding content. They're trying to make new content. And they talk about electronic harassment, but they're not talking about electronic harassment because they have experienced it. I'm not saying that everyone that's talking about electronic harassment has not experienced it. There's content creators about gang stalking or spiritualism or technology, and they mention electronic harassment. And the thing is that electronic harassment is like a ghost story because many of us have seen it with our own eyes. Many of us have experienced it. However, we have no evidence. So the only evidence that targets feel is the targets have is how their body feels. And because many of us have been pushed the narrative of technology in gang stalking, most people are bound to believe that. I believed it. But I was testing out a lot of these theories. So when I moved here, for a while I didn't say I was leaving. I didn't say anything to anyone, and I only began noticing weird things happen only after I had been here for a couple of months. So I denied that I moved. And if gang stalkers would actually have access to my devices, they would have known exactly where I was, and they didn't. Because it was only months later that I got harassed again. But it took many months. It had to be I who put out the information. And I used to be on Grindr, I used to be on Sniffies, and I purposely didn't log on those apps. And I probably won't ever again. But the reason that I'm able to find peace from gang stalking is because no one knew where I was for an extended period of time. It took many months for the gang stalking harassment to continue. That in itself is evidence that gang stalkers really don't know where you're at unless one of them sees you. And one thing that you have to understand is that gang stalking has so many eyes where someone is bound to see you. A gang stalker is gonna notice someone and they're gonna tell the group. That's the truth about gang stalking, is that there's so many gang stalkers out there that they really don't need to hack anyone, to be honest. So also, by the way, you ask, then how are they able to meet up with you on dating apps? So
when you are on dating apps, you have your picture too. So by your face, they know exactly who you are. Additionally, if I'm meeting up with someone, I have to tell them where I'm at so we can meet. I hope that answers your question, and I really appreciate you for asking it. Please do not hesitate in asking me more questions. I love to answer your questions. Subscribe if you haven't. My name is Stefan Rodriguez, and I was targeted for 7 years. I went through the whole thing. I heard voices. I saw the hand signals, the gang stalking grin. I experienced sabotage. I experienced the hallucinations. I experienced the belief that everyone was against me. I experienced the belief that people could hear my thoughts. I experienced the belief that people could see what I was imagining. I experienced the belief that gang stalkers could hack into my devices. I experienced the whole thing. My mission is to expose everything there is about gang stalking to the point where people that are targeted know exactly how to deal with it. They know what to do, and I want to become the source of information of gang stalking that I needed when my operation of gang stalking began. Please drop a like to help me spread the truth about gang stalking, and share the content with those whom you think might be interested in hearing about. Also, I have been a personal trainer for 10 years, and right now we are 9 weeks into demonstrating to everyone how long it takes for anyone to get abs. We got the first 2, we have 4 to go, and you can see those videos on my lives and on my short videos. Okay, thank you so much for stopping by. I love you.